Hey, this is Eric with TechnoRV, and this is the TechnoRV Learning Series for the Rand McNally RVND 7 GPS unit. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to set your preferences for routing. So the way that you do that is from your main menu, you want to go down and click on Preferences. And then you'll notice when you get in Preferences, you've got a General tab, a Routing tab, and a Map tab. So we've got videos on the General and the Map, and this video we're going to cover Routing. So let me go ahead and click on Routing. Routing, the preferences for routing are very important. If people are having problems with their GPS and how it's routing, it usually has something to do with their preferences that are set up. We adjust our preferences pretty routinely depending on where we're at, you know, the routes, what part of the country, that type thing. So feel free to go in here and make adjustments as often as you like, and you'll start to kind of get a general vibe of what you prefer. The first one on here is the ETA adjustment. I really don't see a lot of value in this. The ETA is just the estimated time of arrival. I always just leave it on ETA, okay. Presumably if you wanted to increase or decrease that time, maybe there's a storm up ahead and you want to you know, back off a little bit, you could decrease your ETA. I haven't played with that a whole lot, but I just leave it on okay. The recalculation tab, I always leave this on recalculate automatically. So this would be if I missed a turn, then the GPS would automatically recalculate the route there and get me back on track. If I didn't have it on auto, then you know, I would have to manually make some adjustments. So I like it on auto, but it's totally up to you. On the route, I leave mine on fastest route, and you can use shortest route if you want. Just the only thing to be aware of on that is if you do shortest route, then it's going to take you the shortest route, and that could mean through like a neighborhood to that may be adjoining two major streets. I'm not wanting to go through neighborhoods, so I never put it on shortest routes. So I've always found, at least for me, that fastest route just works better. Next is freeways. Again, complete preference. Some people prefer to be on freeways. Some people prefer to kind of be on the back roads when they travel. And this is one that you can adjust by trip depending on kind of what you want your route to be. The next one is tollways. Avoid or allow. So if you're okay with going through tolls, then you can allow it. If you prefer not to, then you can tell the system to avoid the tolls, and it will route you the best that it can, kind of around tolls. Now in some case that could increase the length of your trip. In some cases maybe not. So to get down to the next options here on routing, just click the down arrow right here, and you've got U-turns. You know, do you want to allow U-turns in your route, or do you want to avoid them? If you're in a much, say, bigger RV, then you probably want to avoid them. You know, if you're in a smaller truck with a smaller towable, then maybe you are okay with U-turns. Ferries, allow or avoid. You know, sometimes you can catch a ferry ride and it makes the trip a lot quicker. Sometimes not, so it's really just a preference thing. The cross-country borders, avoiding that or allowing crossing borders. Again, sometimes, you know, it may be a quicker route for you to, you know, maybe cross over into Canada and then cross back over into the United States. But again, you're crossing borders there, so if you're okay with that, you can allow it. If you prefer not for it to do that, then you need to avoid crossing borders for your route. Dirt roads, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, maybe there's on a route, there's a dirt road that might make the route a little quicker. If you're okay with that, allow it. If you're not, then just say avoid dirt roads. I tend to avoid dirt roads, just for the size of the RV with the tow vehicle and everything. Not crazy about that. So tunnels, you can allow or try to avoid tunnels. I usually allow, with the understanding that I know that the Rand McNally is going to make sure that if it routes me through a tunnel, it'll be a tunnel that is good with my height, and maybe you've got propane tanks in your RV or things like that, and there's certain restrictions with tunnels. It's going to know that, and know that if you're okay to be in the tunnel. You can click this arrow here. Manage avoid list. You can avoid roads, you can avoid entire states if you want to. So if there's a particular road, or again even a state that you want to avoid, you can work through that with the manage avoid list. The fast recalculation, this is basically if you say I missed a turn and it needed to recalculate. Fast recalculate it'll just quickly recalculate me back onto the route. If that's off, then it could potentially just reroute the entire trip from your point. So I keep it on because it potentially means that I just missed a turn. Turn announcements, you can play around with this a little bit. It's, basically, you'll get an announcement, so far out before, say, a particular turn, and then as you get closer to the turn, it'll remind you again. So you can just pull this up and play with those and see what your preferences are. Turn view distance, this is going to be if you've got a turn coming up, when you reach a certain distance from it, it'll change the view on your GPS to kind of zoom in on that particular turn. So you can adjust that up and down with the minus and plus buttons here. The junction view distance, kind of the same thing. You can adjust that up and down on how far out would you want that to kind of give you a different view of the junction. And that's it. That's the preferences for the route. It's very important, so make sure that you go in and make adjustments to these as often as you like.